2 officers heard a cry for help and without hesitation answered that cry.
While Brian's service and sacrifice will forever be linked to him, it does not define all that he was.
He grew up here. He's part of Beech Grove.
Elliott didn't just serve a community, he built one. He made people feel safe, feel heard, feel included.
My message to them is that they're not by themselves, they're not alone.
When I think of Brian, I'll remember his joy, his bravery, but also his humility.
There is no greater love than a man that would lay down their life for another. Beech Grove Police Department, Officer Brian Elliott, Beech Grove 59 is 1042.
I tried to come up with a way to say goodbye. A way to turn the page. But you can't.
Thanks for inviting us in tonight. It's now 11 o'clock. Tonight, a tribute to a fallen hero. It's been 1 week to the day since Beech Grove police officer Brian Elliott was killed in the line of duty. His final moments spent trying to save a woman from a domestic disturbance after she cried out for help. This has been a somber and sobering day for the city of Beech Grove, for Officer Elliott's loved ones, and for his brothers in blue who showed up in force today as he was laid to rest. Tonight, the services are over, but the effort to process, cope, and heal is far from done. So over the next 30 minutes, we want to take a look back at Officer Elliott's life, the difference he made, the lives he touched, and the example he set for so many people. Alex Almanza begins our coverage tonight with a look at where his family and fellow officers go from here.
The services are over, flags folded, procession cleared. But for Officer Brian Elliott's family, the journey forward is just beginning. When an officer is killed in the line of duty, there's a title no one ever wants.
Aaron and the rest of Brian's family have now become part of a family that they never wanted to be part of, and that's the survivor family. In Indiana, we stay with our survivors.
Joe Hamer leads the Indiana State FOP Critical Incident Memorial Team. When an officer dies, his team steps in within hours, helping plan the honors, guiding the family through logistics, and building trust.
That bond doesn't go away. It just continues to be a driving force to be there for them when they need us most.
Support doesn't end at the funeral. Other surviving spouses, some who lost their loved ones decades ago, reach out, offering guidance or a reminder they're not alone.
It's about keeping those promises. If you're going to be there, make sure you keep your promise.
In May of next year, Brian's name will be read in Washington, D.C. at the National Law Enforcement Memorial, another moment of honor.
There will always be part of the law enforcement family, no matter what. And most importantly is that Brian will never be forgotten.
Another reminder that while the uniform is laid to rest, the brotherhood and the promise to remember remains. In Beech Grove, Alex Almanza, 13 News.
Retired Lawrence Police Chief Gary Woodruff joins me tonight to talk about what we've seen. So Gary, what does it mean for the Beech Grove Police Department to see the crowds at the memorial service and lining the processional route?
Oh, it's so important for that outpouring of community support that the Beech Grove Police Department saw today. You know, having the community come out, I call it that silent majority that frequently doesn't say much, but at the time of need, they really come through. And to be there to support the officers, to support the family, is of critical importance. The feedback we got during our time of need in 2005 and our own experiences certainly confirms that. Seeing that outpouring of community support. That community support is not just important on today, but moving forward in the short, mid, and long term as well. Having the community be there for their law enforcement officers it's just critically important.
So to that end, Gary, what do the next few days look like for the Beech Grove Police Department?
They're going to be identifying their new normal. I'm not a really big believer in closure, in that term closure. I'm not really a believer in that term, but they'll be identifying what their new normal looks like moving forward. You know, they're a small department. Everybody knew each other. You know, Officer Elliott was a Beech Grove kid. You know, he's always been around. The mayor quoted that. You know, so they're going to identify what their new normal is. There's going to still be a lot of people around to help support them through that. Within the law enforcement community and the community as a whole. You know, Beech Grove is a tight-knit, really, really terrific community, and they'll need to lean on that support now more than ever. That silent majority needs to not be so silent as they move forward and identify what their new normal is going to be.
So Gary, if our viewers want to help out the Beech Grove Police Department, what tangible things can they do?
In a very tangible way, just being there and seeing that police officer out there, you know, saying, hey, I see you, appreciate you, I got you. You know, that can mean as much as anything. It's just something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be any grand gesture. You know, we've had people stop in, you know, they'll make a pan of brownies and bring them up to the police department. You know, that's pretty typical of a smaller community like Beech Grove, Lawrence, and other places. But you know, it can be just something just as simple as seeing that officer out there in uniform, you know, ready to respond, you know, ready to serve and protect, and just saying, hey, I see you, I got you, you know, well, appreciate you.
Today's funeral service was filled with traditions created to honor officers who lose their lives while serving. We saw the hearse carrying Elliott pass under the garrison flag outside Crown Hill Cemetery during his procession. We saw the riderless horse, signifying the loss of a beloved public servant, the 21-gun salute, the performing of taps, and the laying of carnations on Officer Elliott's casket, the folding of the flag that was later presented to Officer Elliott's family, and of course, that 10:42, the final call marking the end of Officer Elliott's service to the public. It all culminated with Officer Elliott being laid to rest in the Heroes of Public Safety section at Crown Hill Cemetery. We're taking a look at the importance of that tradition coming up in a few minutes. Angela?
Scott, it is a cold Monday night. We have several locations already down into the teens. It is 13 in Kokomo, 16 in Lafayette, currently 19 in Greencastle, and 18 degrees in Bloomington. It is going to be a cold start tomorrow morning, teens and 20s. Don't forget the heavy coat. You'll definitely need it out the door early on a Tuesday morning. Temperatures tomorrow afternoon, not quite as cold as what we had today, will be up by about 10 degrees. So starting the day in the teens and 20s, will end tomorrow afternoon with a mix of sun and clouds and highs in the upper 30s and low 40s. This is pretty typical for the end of February, and we're going to be pretty typical as far as that average goes for the next several days. We do get a couple of warm days later this week. I'll have that look ahead in the 7-day in a few minutes.
Here's a look at the other stories making headlines tonight. An Indianapolis man and his girlfriend were just sentenced for causing his 7-year-old son's death. 7-year-old Caden Navarrete was extremely malnourished and severely underweight when he was found dead in 2024. Kevin Navarrete and Julia Sizemore pleaded guilty to neglect of a dependent resulting in death. The two were sentenced to 30 years in prison. The Marion County coroner just identified the man who was killed in that shooting near 16th and Arlington over the weekend. 18-year-old Deandra Hart died at the hospital after he was found shot along Webster Avenue. So far, police have not shared details about potential suspects or arrests. The man accused in a 2024 road rage shooting just took a plea deal. Terrence Seagraves was charged with attempted murder for the shooting by the McDonald's near 21st and Shadeland. Tonight, he's pleading guilty to aggravated battery. His sentencing is set for next week. A woman was just arrested in connection to a shooting on the near north side of Indianapolis this morning. Right now, we know one person was shot near 30th and Fall Creek Parkway. Police tell us they took a 32-year-old woman into custody. She's now facing preliminary charges of aggravated battery, residential entry, criminal mischief, and resisting police. Governor Mike Braun and Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita launched a joint effort to crack down on foreign-born truck drivers. The governor ordered an audit of commercial driver's licenses. And now there's a bill in the state Senate to require Indiana's CDL test only be offered in English. Remember, you can find all of our latest local stories streaming anytime. Just scan this QR code that you see on your screen. Officer Brian Elliott's final resting place is a spot filled with history and tradition.
It's also just humbling for us to serve those who serve others in a way at the time of, honestly, at the saddest time of their life.
A hallowed ground honoring the heroes of public safety.
It's a heavy responsibility that we take very seriously.
Tonight, we're getting an inside look at the extreme care taken at Crown Hill to preserve the legacies of so many who gave their lives to a greater cause. That's next.